Good afternoon, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a midday grand solar minimum update Saturday, November 30th, 1 p.m. Mountain Time 2019. The models are showing the big winner, British Columbia and the Sierras, as well as the Northeast, moving into the first few weeks of December. Take a look at Alberta and BC line there. That is absolutely buried there, as well as the Sierras. A lot to report on. Oh, what did I just do? Oh my goodness. Keep calm. It's boom time. Hundreds of Thanksgiving snowfall records smashed across the U.S. You have never seen a Thanksgiving like that before. Have you? Wait for it. I'm waiting. Big Bear, Lake California, KABC, the heaviest November storm to hit Big Bear in more than 50 years, led to road closures, stuck cars, and power outages throughout the region on Friday. The area saw 42 to 48 inches of snowfall in 2 days, according to the Big Bear Mountain Resort. The resort says the last time even close to that much snow fell in November was back in 1964, when a meager 38 inches fell over 2 days. All of the roads to Big Bear were closed, and all non-mountain residents Friday morning. That's a boom. San Francisco ties 1986 record for the coldest November day ever. The mercury in San Francisco reached just high of 8.8 C, which is 48 Fahrenheit on Thursday, November 28th, tying the 1896 solar minimum cycle 12 record for the city's lowest max temperature ever recorded in November, ever. Storm brings more than a foot of snow to Flagstaff, snarls traffic in the region. Another record breaker. Take a look at the snowfall in Cedar Avenue just north of downtown Flagstaff during Friday's storm. A winter storm brought record snowfall and precipitation to the Flagstaff area Friday, keeping several northern Arizona highways and interstates closed for a portion of the day. According to the National Weather Service, Friday's storm dropped 14.4 inches of snow on Flagstaff Airport as of 5 p.m., beating the 12.1-inch record set back in 1985 by over 2 inches. Almost the snowiest November day ever. That is 18.4 inches set back in 85 on November 12th. Big snow day, also setting the precipitation record for the month. Great Falls has received 55 inches of snow since September 25th, which is almost the yearly average. Just 8 inches away. 10 inches. Anyway, do the math. 8.5. Havre almost just 9.5 inches away from the yearly average, and it's not winter. Are you picking that up? Did you see me put it down there? That's a lot of snow. And if we come over to the total snow mass for the Northern Hemisphere, excluding the mountains, here's our data point for November 28th, which is 350 gigatons higher than average. Almost 33% higher than normal, and 2 weeks earlier than average. So we're either 2 weeks earlier than the snow coverage, or we're 350 gigatons above the average. Either way you slice it, I just put it down. Powerful winter storm threatens millions of travelers heading home, especially in New England. A powerful storm continues to push eastward Saturday, bringing heavy snow, strong winds, and blizzard warnings in some areas along the country's northern tier. We'll get to the models in a minute, threatening to disrupt travel for millions of homeward-bound holiday travelers. The National Weather Service said travel could become impossible in some places. Adding to the weekend's misery, a powerful nor'easter is developing off New England that could slam cold air from the west and trigger the first heavy snowfall from New Jersey to Boston, maybe even Philly. Hello. Give me a cheesesteak. Winter storm to slap Michigan with freezing rain, heavy snow, and ice. Several counties in blizzard warning currently. The patchwork of colorful winter storm watches and warnings and other weather advisories covering the Michigan forecast map today spells out the wide range of weather about to descend on the Great Lakes area tonight, with the storm system expected to push into the state after sunset. From another load of heavy snow destined for the upper peninsula and the northern tier of the lower peninsula to motorists' dreaded wintry mix further south, there's a lot to unpack in this coming storm, according to the National Weather Service, and we're about to unpack it. Are you ready? 2 dead, 1 injured after a fall at Arches National Park. 2 people died Friday while hiking. A 65-year-old man, a 60-year-old woman died after falling into the bowl area near Delicate Arch, and a 30-year-old man, probably trying to rescue them, also fell, was hospitalized and still alive. Clearly, we'll get a story from him in the coming days. December 2019 will be colder than normal, with even colder storms before the month is done across Arizona. It is looking chilly and deep in the west. Lots of global warming goodness forecast. Significant post-Thanksgiving holiday travel impacts across wide swath of U.S. this weekend. A powerful storm continues its eastward movement this weekend with heavy snow, powerful winds, and areas of wintry mix spreading across the northern tier. Blizzard conditions expected impact the high plains around Duluth. Severe storms are possible in the lower Mississippi Valley today. A new storm will bring feet of mountain snow, locally heavy rain, and gusty winds to California. Winter storm watches in pink and blue, blizzard warnings in red all over Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, half the state, one county in Minnesota, and those winter storm watches and warnings throughout the Northeast, Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, southern Vermont, and southern New Hampshire. So heads up to those areas. We have flood warnings and watches throughout almost all of Kentucky, some spots of southern Indiana. Heads up. Click your county for more information. Go to weather.gov. Let's check the models. Now you can see that system moving into the upper Midwest over the next 18 hours of powers. By Sunday morning, the snow will have reached the Northeast and will be falling heavily. And looks like Elk Mountain is the big winner for skiers in Pennsylvania, as well as Wisconsin picking up the most snow at this next system, maybe even right here on the Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota triple junction. Did I just say that? But the big winner here in the snow totals is clearly going to be the Sierras, with over 4 feet of snow predicted with that whiteness. And it's only going to get whiter and deeper as we deepen and get closer and closer to winter here. Our prediction here is that several states will already break the all-time snowfall record for the season before winter even begins. Air quality is a concern to Texas residents after they're allowed to return to their homes after a chemical plant explodes.
Of residents in a southeast Texas town rocked by a pair of explosions are returning home this weekend. Authorities say a massive chemical plant fire is now considered contained. A mandatory evacuation order has been lifted, but residents are being asked to still avoid the area near the plant. As Omar Villafranca reports, air quality is a concern.
The Parker family was forced to spend the Thanksgiving holiday away from home after a petrochemical plant explosion forced them and more than 50,000 other people to evacuate.
We've lived here for 30 years, and this is the first time it's never ever happened.
The initial blast sent giant columns of black smoke and scorching flames into the southeast Texas sky. The TPC Group, the plant's owner, says the fire is now contained, but smoke can still be seen coming from the plant. The facility manufactures butadiene, a chemical used to make synthetic rubber. Low-level exposure to the chemical can cause eye and lung irritation. Texas officials say the air quality is safe.
We've had nothing about the threshold.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah,
they do. It's safe
guidelines.
because they love you so much. They have deemed it safe, and you can go back home now. We're going to get to some of the nonsense about safety and governments in just a minute. 3 children missing in Arizona after RV is swept in flooded creek. This is part of the system that just moved through our region over the last several days, causing record snow in Flagstaff and flooding in other regions. 3 children are missing after heavy rainfall flooded a creek in Gila County, Arizona. Swept away a recreational vehicle carrying 9 people on Friday. Absolute tragedy. But had they checked weather.gov, they would have probably known of flood warnings and watches and gotten out of harm's way. Now let's talk about the 1700 Cascadia earthquake real quick. It's going to set us up for a lot of misinformation that's being perpetrated on YouTube currently by a certain YouTube creator. And we're not going to mention him by name. We're not even subscribers, and there's good reason for that. Now, the 1700 Cascadia earthquake occurred on the Cascadia subduction zone at a magnitude of between 8.7 and 9.2, kicking off a massive tsunami and killing lots of native people in the region. The only information coming to light about this is from Japan, across the ocean, where small tsunamis were registered. And that's where most of that information comes from. Seismic update, no 1700 quakes at all or tsunamis. Quite calm on the Western Front. Now, the eruption of the Indonesian volcano in 2018, Krakatoa, generated a tsunami at least 330 feet high. Now, that should have raced all across the Pacific, according to one YouTuber, and killed everyone in the entire world, but it didn't. It was localized, and in fact, only 427 people lost their lives just a short distance away from this eruption. And the modeling they did showed an initial wave height of up to 330 feet, which got smaller as it spread out and moved across the ocean. I do have the paper here, and here is the data. Around an hour after the eruption, the waves just about 80 miles away were only between 5 and 13 meters, which is 16 to 43 feet, that smashed into nearby coasts of Java and Sumatra, claiming the lives of over 400. So the initial wave was 330, and the waves that hit land was only 16 to 43. That's a factor of 10 times smaller. And so there's some facts on what recently happened and some science. And here's the paper, Numerical Modeling of the Subaerial Landslide Source of the 22nd December 2018 Krakatoa Volcano Tsunami, Indonesia. This would be similar to the catastrophic collapse of the Canary Islands scenario, or even some of the larger volcanoes that are on the Mediterranean that could potentially cave off into a waterway. What they would produce is an initial tsunami of gigantic proportion. The Canary Islands could produce a 1,000+ foot wave initially, which if you're nearby would wash up hundreds of feet high and wash everything out in the ocean. If you're thousands of miles away, that wave is going to be much different. It's going to be maybe 40 to 70 feet high, but wash considerably inland. But here's the numerical modeling data coming from the most recent major event where we have data, and you can get a really good idea of how tsunami waves move during landslide events from all of this. If you want to dive into it, links will be below. Now, the 1707 Hoi earthquake, which is being purported to have washed Antarctica free from South America because of the improper use of old maps, which were terrible. This particular YouTuber is not only telling people that he knows about the new position of the North and South Pole, which this YouTuber doesn't even know the difference between the magnetic pole and the rotational pole. So you should be very careful there. Not only that, they don't even know what an antipode is. They call it like tunneling through the earth to the other side, which is called antipode, the other side of an event. The other side of the globe is the antipode, in case you're listening. And a tsunami that was formed from the 1708 earthquake pales in comparison to the 1700 Cascadia earthquake, because this was only an 8.6 or 7, not a 9.2. Anyway, so why he didn't even know about the Cascadia eruption is beyond me, because the Cascadia quake is much bigger than the one that he claims washed Antarctica away from South America, which never happened, by the way. What did happen was the 1960 Valdivia earthquake, which is the largest earthquake ever recorded in human history, and that comes in between 9.4 and 9.6 on the Richter scale. 10.5 never being achieved ever, and never will. Ever. That's a different story altogether. Popo, Mexico forces KLM flight back to Amsterdam. This baby has been quite active, and we're going to get to it. It's been very active over the last 48 hours. A flight from Amsterdam to Mexico City had to turn back right before it got to Mexico City because of volcanic ash cloud from Popo. Now, that would basically kill everyone on board, stop the engines, and so they turned around and went back. They went back to Amsterdam, an 11-hour turnaround flight to get where Eud started. Oh, talk about a nightmare. Well, worldwide volcano news update. Sakurajima exploded today to 10,000 feet. Popo, Colima, New name to the list, Nevados de Ruiz. Popo puffing to 21,000 and 22,000 feet several times. Reventador to 15. Sabancaya to 26,000. As we wait for the sea ice thickness to return to multi-decadal averages and record levels at the end of December, you can see Arctic ice is completely covering the entire northern regions of the Arctic Ocean, all the way from Russia to Canada. And this purple region is going to rapidly change from thin ice to 2 to 3 meter ice over the coming weeks. It's what happens every year. Pot never should have been illegal in the first place. Well, duh. If you want to know why a plant that is the safest plant on earth shouldn't be illegal, I got nothing for you. A 2,000-year-old green serpentine mask, the color of cannabis, unearthed at the base of a pyramid in Mexico. Is it a sign? Yes, it's a sign you've been lied to. Completely. About the nature of humanity and where you come from. And it's on purpose to keep you a slave. Our place in the universe will change dramatically in the next 50 years. And this article doesn't explain why. It says that more money for new colliders are going to bring new breakthroughs. We just need to spend more billions of dollars to find nothing. I don't believe that that's what's going to happen. I believe that over the next 50 years, society will collapse and we will begin to rebuild. And it will be a very bizarre future. Unpredictable how it will unroll. Nobody knows. But certainly billions of dollars on new colliders that don't find anything else but simply keep non-scientists employed doing stupid games in the basements of their giant evil laboratories makes absolutely no sense how that is going to change physics. Because every single one of astrophysics and our cosmological discoveries are unexplained. And that's because physics is broken. The ether is real, and electricity is everywhere. Now we're going to close up with a little genocide. The 1970 law led to mass sterilization of Native American women. That's your government that loves you so much. If you want to eat through government assistance, you will be sterilized. And if you don't believe this didn't happen, well, just read the article, because it did. The atrocities that our government is capable of performing on its own citizens, well, read the article. And then research the FDA, Monsanto, and the revolving door. Glyphosate linked to aggressive breast cancer, alarming generational changes in offspring, new studies find. Now, I knew about these studies 12 years ago, which is why I helped start the March Against Monsanto. But the mainstream media will not tell you the truth, but it's becoming impossible to ignore. 2 new studies add to the body of science showing glyphosate, which many of you know as Roundup, a key ingredient in Bayer Ag Monsanto herbicide, is harmful to living systems. Now, this glyphosate is in all breast milk. Did you hear that? Almost all breast milk worldwide has glyphosate because it's contaminated all the food. All of the processed food, all the grains, all the agricultural products are contaminated with glyphosate, which is harmful to living systems. Not only that, these alarming studies suggest strongly that glyphosate is affecting human chemistry at the genetic level to turn on negative disease-causing traits even into future generations. Now, these studies indicate glyphosate progressively weakens the genome of the living system exposed to the chemical. They're culling you with your food. And this is not an accident, by the way. If you want to know more, this article links to the papers, and you should bone up and also start growing your own food. Because if you grow your own food, it probably won't have glyphosate on it. Just saying. Hope you got something out of the video. Hundreds of Thanksgiving snowfall records smashed. Many states approaching their winter season total snowfall. And it's not winter. It's not winter for 3 more weeks. Thank you all to all of our one-time donors, all of our Patreons, 20 new this month. We love you. The most important thing you can do is share this video. Sharing is caring.